So there's a lot to get into, and I will do more on this, but let me just try to get to the essence. The situation, which is somewhat scandalous, it's not too bad, but it is worth going over. Essentially, what happened is Aaron, who co-founded the Aftermath Foundation with Lewis, has been forced out of the Aftermath Foundation. And as he stresses in his response, he doesn't want to create all these scandals or dramas. He just wants to answer the question because Mark and Claire and others who have been on his channel will probably not be appearing in the future. And obviously, people will ask questions. Well, what's happening? Why aren't you coordinating efforts now that there's a lawsuit against Scientology? So I think he just wants to answer the question and say, yes, I've been forced out. I think the reasons given are frankly bullshit. And again, I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, but essentially the reason they gave is that he violated Article 7 of the foundation, a kind of code of ethics. But as he says, there is no code of ethics. We never made one up.
Because when Luis Garcia and I created the Aftermath Foundation almost exactly 6 years ago, we did not create a code of ethical conduct. There never has been one. One was not required. It's not part of our bylaws. It's not part of our incorporation documents or anything like that.
So it seems that Mike Rinder and the others who are currently running the foundation basically came up with a legal excuse to get rid of him. And I would like to try to be fair to that side, to Mike and Mark and Claire. Unfortunately, they really didn't answer any questions, and they put out a statement, which is better than nothing, and that provided a few names and dates, but really it didn't answer the question either. It just tried to reframe the issue, namely that Aaron has been caught up in a few law enforcement issues, which Aaron has talked about, and he explained to me pretty thoroughly in his videos and to others in his videos, and I think provided convincing evidence. And you have to understand the background that, good or bad, I'm not here to do propaganda for Aaron. I'm not here to do propaganda for the Aftermath Foundation. This is my honest perspective, that Aaron has provided a lot of evidence, as have I and others in the anti-Scientology community, that the police are pretty corrupt in Los Angeles as well as Florida. And that's critical because that's where these incidents happen. Now, Aaron is not saying his record is spotless. He's saying, yeah, I've made a few mistakes, and these mistakes can be used by the Scientology people to discredit the Aftermath Foundation. And he takes ownership of that. He says, okay, I'm going to work on that. But to him, the real issue is he's not playing well with others. Basically, that some of the anti-Scientology people are using the cause to further their own careers, further their own egos, and he's going to call them out where he thinks it's necessary. And I'll be perfectly honest, I think sometimes Aaron's style bristles. I don't think he is the best person sometimes streaming with people. He can be a little rough and coarse, and he admits it. But that's the style of the channel, and you can criticize him, and he's open to criticism. I've criticized him in the streams. I've never been blocked or censored, and I think he's open about getting criticism. But that seems to be the real split. It's a personality issue that Claire and the others expect more deference or expect to be more respected. And also Aaron's becoming very popular, whereas their channels are kind of stuck. They're much smaller channels and they're not getting as much traction. So I think that's the real issue, is that he's much more popular and he's not playing by what they perceive should be the rules of being in the quote SP community. And I would say they're still not answering questions, and this is a public foundation. This is a charity. People are giving money, so I think it's correct to expect a few answers and accountability. And thus far, I would say they're basically stonewalling. They're not answering questions. They're being very bureaucratic. They're being very evasive. Is this a major scandal? No, it's not like Scientology. They're not enslaving children, right? They're not kidnapping Aaron. They're not holding his family hostage. However, it does feel, unfortunately, very parallel to what Scientology does. And like many people, I've had questions about Mike Rinder, what his motivations are. He's done a lot of good work exposing Scientology. But I think we are seeing the other side of some anti-Scientology people. They may have been helping people and they do expose Scientology, but that's not really what they're here for. They are here for their own egos, for money and fame, and they're upset that Aaron is not playing by the rules as they perceive it, and they're just finding a legalistic mechanism to get rid of him and get rid of critics. I don't think that's healthy for the anti-Scientology movement, and I just don't think that's healthy for a charity asking for money. If this was a private organization, out of their own pocket, that's one thing, but it's not. It's a charity, and they're trying to have it both ways. They're trying to ask for money and donations, but they're asking, don't ask any more questions. And I just don't think that's fair. So I think at this point, Aaron is not telling the whole truth, but I think he is being basically honest. And unfortunately, Claire, Mark, and the others are not being honest. And we'll do more work on this because this is a legitimate issue. And if you are going to put anti-Scientology material out there and ask for donations in exchange, you should expect a few questions and answer those questions, in my humble opinion.